When a person becomes political, what do they lost first?
First thing you would lose is just the ability to have easy answers.
What do you think about the young generation? They go to parties, go to bar, hang out with friends. Did you do the same when you was young or you worked?
No, I did the same. I mean, I had a pretty normal
What people usually needs to do to invest in themselves, time, money, what else?
time.
Okay, and my first question, if someone wants to be here one day, what are the first 3 steps they should take this year?
Yeah, I mean, to end up in the legislature, I would definitely say getting involved with your local political party. But even outside of that, just getting involved in issues that you care about. So if you are really passionate about education or economic development or something like that, I think if you do some of that work at the local level, it definitely help for you to create legislation at the state level.
What about your general life? How did you build your daily routine to be here?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's been pretty consistent. I think whether it's focusing on the private sector or any type of work that I do, it's been kind of revolving around making sure you're taking care of your mental health, making sure you're exercising. I think that's pretty much the only way to kind of be productive, maybe from my sense as well.
How long you was trying to build your career?
I mean, there wasn't necessarily a specific goal in terms of my career. I just tried to follow whatever my intellectual curiosity led me to. So if I was interested in policy or banking, I spent quite a lot of time in the private sector working at places like Bank of America and Wells Fargo. And so it wasn't necessarily kind of working 10 years to get to a specific place, more so just kind of taking advantage of the current opportunities that I had.
Do you believe as more people you know, as faster you move?
What do you mean by that?
If you have a lot of right friends?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, definitely networking and knowing the specific people that are involved in the space you want to be in, it's definitely helpful. And so, especially within kind of politics or even the local community. So if you're interested in things like education policy or economic development, it really helps to go find the people that have worked in this space for 10, 20 years or longer than you have. So I would definitely say kind of networking is very important.
Thank you. What the biggest lie you tell yourself?
The biggest lie I tell myself. I don't know. I think that it's probably not a single lie. I think we're constantly telling ourselves certain contradictions. What you're doing matters, what you're doing doesn't matter. And so I think, I think what I think right now is what I'm going to think forever is probably a pretty big lie. I think we have a certain level of confidence in our opinion that I think oftentimes you hear in politics, which I'm not sure how people can become so confident in their opinion. So if I had to point to anything, that would probably be it.
Thank you. What skills helps you the most today, but you didn't think it was important when you were young?
Probably just the ability to learn like quickly and from areas that you're not very interested in. And so I think that, especially early on, people think you have to be an expert in one thing. You have to know something very deep. But I think it does help to have kind of a breadth of knowledge. You spend time in business, you learn how financial services works. You don't realize how much help that gives you in the public policy making space. And something like mental health, the amount of time you spend in the community and helping with things like mental health, you don't realize kind of the help that it brings to your current seat or whatever you're working on. So if I had to point to anything, it's just, not getting attached to one specific area, not thinking that I have to have ownership over one thing and just kind of trying to get a breadth of knowledge and experience.
What do you think about the young generation? They go to parties, go to bar, hang out with friends. Did you do the same when you was young or you worked?
No, I did the same. I mean, I had a pretty normal, I think, kind of experience with everyone else. I think, yeah, I think it's just a matter of kind of balancing things out, and just a realization there's not one direct path to really anything. I think we get very fixated on some of the sort of uber successful folks and try to adopt what they did to get there, and start to realize that there's no one direction. And so whether you are somebody who's social, younger, and you get that out of your system, you're younger, I don't think it's an inherently negative thing to do. I think for me, you just sort of kind of grow out of that and realize that you have other aspirations and things you want to work on.
How to find a balance?
Yeah, I mean, for me specifically, there's just times in your life where you're going to be outbalanced and you're going to prioritize things more. And so there may be seasons in your life that you're really focusing on family and really your loved ones, your relationships. And there are other seasons where you're kind of solely focused on maybe work or your ambition or your aspirations. And so I think it's just being okay, being unbalanced at times, and just realizing there's no part of my life that I think everything is going to excel the way I want it to all at once.
Let me understand your journey. When you was the young, did you want to be here? It was your goal, your target?
Not necessarily for the state legislature, but I was interested in politics. I think, I have an upbringing where kind of philosophy, government, history was something we discussed at the dinner table at home. And so I had always thought about how governments form, how does society allocate different resources, why are certain people unequal? Why do certain countries have certain results and why do others have other results? So when you've been thinking about that as a kid, I think for me specifically, I naturally drifted towards politics and government and finding different policies that help everyone. And so I think from an early age, I was very interested in government and public service. And so that's culminated. I have the same level of interest that I once did. And who knows? I mean, I may just change my mind in a few years and decide to devote my life to something else. But currently and historically, it's been kind of public service.
Who helped you to get success?
I mean, two people I would point to, my parents. And so I would, I would see them as both personal and even professional mentors that kind of helped me sort of open certain doors, helped my mindset, questioned me, criticized me. I think all things necessary to achieve anything, I think I would point to my parents.
What can you say people who have a goal, they try to achieve it, but they have so much rejections?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impossible to have any kind of success without rejection. I think, at times, whoever can get through the rejections more is usually the sign of success. Usually in my kind of history, I think, all complex systems come down to trial and error, whether it's science, the discovery of science is done by conjecture and criticism. If you look at evolution by natural selection, it's done by random mutations. A form of trial and error. Business success is really done through trial and error. Is your product going to meet the market? And so with everything, anything complex enough and anything worth achieving, I think, history and just science has always told you it's a matter of trial and error. And those trials feel like rejection in the moment. And it's just a matter of kind of compartmentalizing, learning whatever lesson you have to have and trying to apply it later on.
Yeah, but what advice can you give to young generation?
Yeah, I mean, just realizing that it's a part of the journey. You should just not try to get emotionally attached to a certain outcome. You should just take it as all information. Some is worth using, some is not worth using. And so I would try to, advise people to soberly look at it like that instead of, it's an indictment on my ability or something like that, which I think is not true.
What do people often call an excuse, but it's really a lack of discipline? What do you think?
Majority of things, I think. I think just prioritizing certain things. I think I don't know. I think there's just a certain level of luck that people perceive to exist, and I just don't think that it necessarily exists. It's just a matter of prioritizing it, and it's okay if you don't want to prioritize something in that current moment. Like, I don't have time to read as much science as I should. And I take a science exam and I fail it. The failure is a natural conclusion to me not studying. And so I can make an excuse, or I can just look at it soberly and suggest that I did not study as much as I should have. Therefore, the result was always going to be failure. There's no magical, there was no, I was going to get lucky and get an A. And the excuses come when you think that you can get lucky and get an A, and you don't. And then you say that it's because of X, Y, Z. It's just, you just didn't prioritize because you didn't have that discipline to sit and study, which is fine.
Do you think to get a success, what is the biggest part? To build this by yourself or to be in the right environment?
That's a good question. It depends on the goal, I think. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the goal. Like, you want to be in a specific environment. I think you're the culmination of the four people you hang out with, because of something called mimetic desire. You're forced to kind of adapt to the people that you're around in terms of your wants. So it's important. But then again, we're living in a world where you're not dependent as other people anymore. You don't need to go to class to learn. You can go home and on YouTube alone learn as much as you'd like. And so, if I had to point to one, I would just say that I would put it on the individual, I think.
But what about to be promoted somewhere?
Sure. You need both. But if I was forced to pick one, I would much rather be reliant on myself than by the luck of being dropped somewhere.
What people usually needs to do to invest in themselves? Time, money, what else?
Time, I think.
Time for what?
Usually to learn. Yeah, all things help. Listen, the right network, knowing the right people, having enough money, all of those things can help. All of those things are a form of leverage. But some of them you have to essentially be born lucky with it. And so for the majority of people that are not lucky enough, the one form of leverage you can always rely on is knowledge, because especially in this day and age, it's free. And so all of those things help. But if I had to lean on one thing, I would definitely point to education, knowledge, being able to learn for yourself.
What do you call luck?
Luck?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's different forms of luck. There's, just probably dumb luck, which is you're just at the right place, right time. You had nothing, none of your personal ability got you to that place.
It's something random, or everybody can achieve it?
No, I think that's genuinely random. And there's other different types of luck. There's, say you're an expert at something, and then you happen to be studying a specific subject, and that subject happens to be popular at that time. And so, you had nothing to do with the popularity of the subject, but because you sat there and studied, you are now the expert in said subject. So did you get lucky? Yes, but it's because of your preparation that you are now able to get quote unquote lucky. And so it's a more merit-filled form of luck, but there's just an array of different types of luck.
Are you a lucky person?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
How do you know if you can trust somebody?
That's a good question. I don't think I don't know. It's just a combination of quality and quantity of time spent. So.
When you see the random person, will you trust them or not?
Yeah, depending on the quality or quantity. So quantity is in, someone you've known for 20, 30 years. It's just time compounds. You build a relationship, you have trust over it. Quality means you can trust somebody in a shorter amount of time if the time spent was in a nature that you would trust them even more. And so typically you see things like fraternities. People have known each other for a semester and they build a lifelong relationship from there because the quality of the time spent when you're pledging in that fraternity was to that extent. It was that much more important. People who go to the military, people who serve together, they're often serve for 6 months together, but they form a long relationship because the quality of that time was spent in a nature that you naturally start trusting someone. So yeah, I think it's just a combination of the quality and quantity of time spent with someone.
That's a very smart answer. Thank you. If you lose your job tomorrow, what could you take but no one can take it from you?
I mean, yeah, it's just going to be, I think, knowledge and just know-how. It's really the only thing you have true ownership over. Yeah, I think just having the ability to go to certain industries and to learning very quickly, or just knowing that you have to rely on yourself and your ability to learn. I think it's probably the one thing you can just take from job to job.
Do you study something every day?
I mean, when I have time, not to that extent anymore. Wish I did, but no, not anymore.
When a person becomes a politician, what do they lost first?
Like, what do they lose first?
Mm.
Um, for every politician, I mean, there's a lot of stereotypes you can put in politics, but
Let's talk about you.
um, I mean, I think the ability to lean on simple answers is pretty much out the door when you become a politician and you're making general decisions. I think if you watch the news or when you discuss things, um, it makes things seem black or white. Like, in a decision is either good or it's bad. And so the moment you get into elected office and you're having to reconcile some of these bigger decisions, you start to realize that they're a lot more complicated than you thought. And so first thing you would lose is just the ability to have easy answers. And so
Did you lose something when you became a politic?
I don't think so. I mean, it's very hard to do the counterfactual. So
What is the one truth about power that people don't want to hear?
um, yeah, I think that power ultimately lies with people and a lot of people. And I have oftentimes seen people um, push back against that notion because it absolves them. People want to live in a world, and I do think to a certain extent we live in a world of elites where money controls certain decisions, etc. But all of that is because of a population that oftentimes doesn't want to be involved in the political process or a government. And so people don't want to hear that sometimes that your vote does count because it gives you responsibility now to act. And a lot of people don't necessarily want responsibility. And again, they have lives to live, they have work to go to, kids to take care of, which is very understandable. But I think that the hard truth of this entire thing is, at the end of the day, when you get past some of the political power, some of the financial interests, all of that stems from the general public gives these people power.
And does your life change when you got the power?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit more nuanced than that. But I mean, my life has not changed materially at all. I mean, some say it's worse now that I have to come to Raleigh a couple times a week. But yeah, I don't think. Listen, I have a vote in the state senate, but again, we're still in the super minority. There's not this thing where you get in elected office and suddenly you're able to kind of wave a wand and make things happen. I think it's unfortunately a lot more nuanced than that.
Okay. And my last question, and I will let you go. Is there a question you hope nobody will ask you?
Is there a question? I don't think so. That I hope no one will ask me. I don't think so. I mean, I'm not hesitant about just saying I don't want to answer a question either. So, in politics, people think that they can have this window into your personal life sometimes. And so maybe about personal life stuff, maybe. But even then, I would just simply say I don't want to answer that question. So
Your personal life.
Mhm.
Why?
I mean, because it's personal. And I think, by experiences that I have with friends, family. I think people try to make an intellectual reason as to why the public should know. You know. So, but yeah.
I understand you. Thank you.
Of course.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you.